how to make your songs connect with more people. Hey, songwriters, my name is Chad Shank. Welcome to At Home Songwriting. If you're new here, I am a singer-songwriter, a music producer. I teach songwriting with athomesongwritingcourses.com, and I also teach lyric writing and commercial songwriting with Berklee College of Music online. So I am a teacher, but I'm also a forever student of songwriting. So today we are going to talk about how to make your songs connect with more people. So how do you do that? How do you make your songs connect deeper with people so they want to listen again and share it with people and become fans? Well, how you do that is you get specific. And specific songwriting makes your songs more universal. So I'll say that again. Specific songwriting makes your songs more universal. So what do we mean by this? Well, let's jump in and I'll talk to you about this. So how does specific writing make your songs more universal? Well, this is a paradox, right? And it's a paradox worth learning because the more personal you can get your details, the more universal your song becomes. So many times when I'm working with newer songwriters, they tell me that they write things in a kind of unclear, vague, almost riddle-like way because they say that they want it to connect with more people. And this is where that paradox comes in. The more vague you are, the less it connects with people. It doesn't stick the way that specificity or specific details does. So again, I want you to remember that the more personal, the more detailed you get, the more universal your song becomes. And the big truth here is that being vague doesn't make your song relatable. It makes your song forgettable. So the more specific you can be, it invites your listener to see, to smell, to taste, and to feel their own sense memories through your words. Raise your hand if you've heard a song and it feels like a movie in your mind, or it feels like their words are your words. The reason for this is they are being specific in a way that connects with your sense memories and it connects with you on an emotional level. So being vague doesn't make your song relatable, it makes it forgettable. Pat Pattison would say no one needs practice being vague. So the universal power of specificity or specificity, you know what I'm trying to say. So the power of this is if you use specific sense-bound language, that becomes your bridge from your world into your listeners. So generic lyrics, that equals sleepy, no one really cares. The more specific you get, the more descriptive you are, that becomes cinematic. That becomes that movie in their mind. And how being specific creates that connection? Well, when you say things like puddle on Duluth Avenue, or a yellow sticker that smelled like rubber boots, right? That gives you an image. It gives your listener something to inhabit. They fill the scene with their childhood. So the more specific and the more details you can give us, the more powerful your lyric becomes. So how do you do this? Well, technique number one is to try doing something called object writing or destination writing. And this is basically just sense-based free writing. Pat Pattison calls it object writing, where you take an object and you write about it through your senses and you don't think, you just, whatever pops into your mind, you write it. Andrea Stolpe, one of my mentors and friends, says that you can do destination writing. So this is where you pick a person, place, time, or situation and write about it from your senses. So kind of write about a destination. So pick a thing or a place or a time, and then spend 5 to 10 minutes really describing what you see, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch, what you hear, and what you move through. This is where that emotional truth hides. It's in the senses. And again, this is something that takes a little while to grasp onto, but once you grasp onto this, it will revolutionize the way that your lyrics connect with your audience. So the more specific, the more descriptive you can be, the more people it will connect with. So technique number two is very closely related. It's show, don't tell. So an example of a tell line is I was heartbroken. You know, how many times have we written a song where we just blurt out what we're feeling, right? I was heartbroken. Well, we understand that on a logic level. So we understand what you're saying, but we don't feel it. But what if we show it, like your half empty glass still sweating on the counter? I was heartbroken, right? So you're giving us that showing detail, that sense-based detail. Showing detail is what's happening outside of the characters. It's stuff that can be experienced through the physical senses. So use your imagery to let the listener witness the feeling rather than be told what to feel. So read that slowly again. Let the listener witness the feeling rather than be told what to feel. And you get there through sense-based writing. Technique number three is the 5 W's and the 1 H. So thinking about who is speaking, what's happening, when, where, why does it matter, and how does it look, or how did we get here? If you can answer these questions early, they anchor the listener inside of your world. So in order to make sure that you're giving your listeners enough information so they can see if they relate to what you're writing about, think about those 5 W's and that 1 H, right? So think about giving them the who, the when, the where, the why, what's happening, how did we get here, how does it look, how does it feel? All of those things help you write more clear and specific lyrics that connect more to your audience. Technique number 4 is to focus on the lens. So if you can't describe what your song is about in 1 to 2 sentences, that means you need to zoom your lens in further. So the more specific you can be in the situation, the more specific you can be in the time frame, that makes a huge difference on how it connects with your listener. So start from a single human truth. Maybe that's longing, maybe that's resilience, maybe that's forgiveness, maybe that's love, and then build outward from your lived experience, but do that on a very zoomed in lens perspective. So resilience. Resilience is a big word, right? So how do you get very specific? Well, you think of a very specific time and a very specific situation, and you write from your senses around that particular time and place. Because the more zoomed in you can get, that lens you can pull us in, the more specific you become, and then that means the more universal and the more connection you can have with your listener. Technique number 5 is be sure to balance both external details and internal details. So external details, those are the sense-based words. Those are the things that are happening outside of the characters. So it's the sight, the sound, the taste, the touch, the smell, the movement. And then the internal is what are we feeling on the inside. So a lot of times your verses are going to show the external, and then the chorus is that emotional center where we reveal the internal emotion and we reveal what the song is really about. And it's that balance of external versus internal that really makes the emotion believable in your song, because your listener is getting just enough specific information to where they're really feeling and experiencing that emotion. Also, keep it clean and keep it yours. So what do I mean by keep it yours? Well, clichés or writing lines that are cliche really dilute the connection to your listener. And a cliche is really writing someone else's song, right? Because it's writing something that has been said a million other times. So try to cut those things out or make them more specific and make them more unique to you. So try to cut that clutter. You know, let a few vivid, true images carry the weight of your section, carry the weight of the song, and try to cut out unneeded words, try to cut out unneeded cliches, And remember that the more honest and the more small and specific you can get in your lens, the smallest, most honest moments hold the biggest truth when it comes to songwriting. So, the thing to remember here is to connect with more people, you need to be more specific. And if you'd like to learn more tips, tricks, techniques, and skills, join me for my free online workshops at athomesongwritingcourses.com. It's athomesongwritingcourses.com. Join the free online community. I am going to be doing free Zoom workshops each month where it helps you become a stronger songwriter, and it's a time for you to connect with me as well. But today, I want you to leave here and go try to write something extremely specific. Write something extremely specific. Write it very image based, very sense based, and try to get as focused as you can on singular events or singular moments and watch how your songs start to connect with more people. So thanks for joining me here at Home Songwriting. I'm Chad Shank, and I will see you in this next video.